Christmas. The most magical time of the... For fuck's sake. Thanksgiving? What the hell is a Thanksgiving movie? There's always been some real spicy debates about what makes a Christmas movie, with Die Hard being that sort of quintessential, is this a Christmas movie? And people have quite arbitrary lists about what does make it a Christmas film, based on things that they have seen in other media that has presented themselves as Christmas films. It must be about Christmas. It must be about love. It must be about family. It must inspire nostalgia about Christmas. It must be about people coming together, a la It's a Wonderful Life. And while the things get listed are often found in Christmas movies that present themselves as Christmas movies, I think a lot of those things don't actually make a Christmas movie. I think a lot of the ideas and themes and stories actually make them Thanksgiving movies. I spent my 4th through 8th grade in America, and I was introduced to a lot of historical events and perspectives that I wouldn't have been introduced to if I had remained in England. It's not very surprising that in 2002, 1 year after the World Trade Center attacks, I might add, as an 8-year-old in middle of nowhere redneck country America, I was being taught a very colonizer sympathetic, aren't we a great nation version of the first Thanksgiving. We were taught that when the first settlers arrived on the New World, there were some minor tensions between the brave and hopeful pilgrims and the noble savages. But when times were hard and food shortages were growing, the Native Americans opened up their arms and welcomed the pilgrims as brothers and gave up their land and their food and joined in a big, happy, loving feast together. Now, obviously, this is a wildly ahistorical account of the first Thanksgiving, and it's missing any kind of cultural or racial context, but it is what was being taught. And that idea of coming together despite differences in order to build and share in familial relations is the story that then permeated American society. And if you want a slightly better account of what actually happened, just listen to my Queen Wednesday Addams.
You have taken the land which is rightfully ours. Years from now, my people will be forced to live in mobile homes, on reservations. Your people will wear cardigans and drink highballs. We will sell our bracelets by the roadsides. You will play golf and enjoy hot hors d'oeuvres. My people will have pain and degradation. Your people will have stick shifts. The gods of my tribe have spoken. They have said, do not trust the pilgrims, especially Sarah Miller.
Similarly to the story of Thanksgiving, the story of Christmas is very present in the general American collective consciousness. From a Christian perspective, this is the story of God making himself flesh in the form of a human son in order to one day forgive the sin of the world. It is a story of love, yes, but it's a love that is very parental, from a celestial being to an entire planet, and also the story of love between very parental figures, the paternal love of Joseph and the maternal love of Mary, for their newborn kid. And that paternal love, I think, is a very different perspective on love from the sort of coming together, brotherly, communal love that you get in a Thanksgiving story. And on top of that, Jesus's character arc, if you can call it that, the thing that he is tasked with doing, the thing that he questions, the thing that he eventually does and completes and ends his journey doing, is the removal of sin, the changing of people from dark to light. And approaching Christmas from a pagan view as well It's about the changing of the short days to the long days, the change from the darkness to the light. I think you can really see this change from darkness to light, and the idea behind that change in darkness to light in the quintessential Christmas media. Something that's so quintessential, in fact, that there is a movie on Netflix called The Man Who Invented Christmas, because it established the Christmas feeling in both media and society as a whole. And that piece of media is, of course, Charles Dickens' The Muppets Christmas Carol. Scrooge, a cantankerous and greedy old man with no love for anyone, is haunted by Statler and Waldorf, a really creepy little girl, one of my favourite full-body puppets, and death, all on the night before Christmas. It's through these puppets that he is shown his life and his shortcomings, and how he was shaped by Sam the Eagle and this lady on a bridge that they cut out of home releases.
When love is gone, when love is gone.
The love was gone, and so are you, sweetheart! Despite there being a connection to love, in this case it's Scrooge's love for his fellow man and also his love for that lady on the bridge, the real crux of the story is about Scrooge's sin, his darkness, whatever you want to call it, changing and turning into light, or being forgiven, and him being better for it. Planes, Trains and Automobiles, however, is the perfect reflection of the Thanksgiving story. Admittedly, it's actually quite hard to find movies that sell themselves as a Thanksgiving story, and you can more commonly find these stories in long-running TV shows or sitcoms. So, Friends has Thanksgiving episodes, Community has Thanksgiving episodes, Bob's Burgers has Thanksgiving episodes. That's my idea of relatable TV.
Sir? Sir? Excuse me. I know this is your cab, but I'm desperately late for a plane, and I was wondering if I could appeal to your good nature and ask you to let me have it.
I don't have a good nature. Excuse me.
Neil is not a terrible person. Not really. He's clearly empathetic, loving, kind enough to have a family, and one he desperately wants to return to for Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, he is not particularly great in stressful scenarios. He's a bit of a Karen, to be honest. While racing to try and get home, he meets Dell, a kind and loving person who, unfortunately, is also infuriatingly bumbling and prone to accidents. You ever meet someone you feel really sorry for, but you just want to punch him in the face? Due to both of their flaws, Neil and Dell get shunted from one transportation route to another as they try to work together to get to their destination for Thanksgiving. Now, there are a lot of scenes where they paint Neil as a massive asshole and Dell as a humongous idiot as they interact with each other, and this is a relationship that no one should have with each other. It's not healthy, it's not good. If you find yourself in a relationship like that, please end the relationship. But by the end of his journey, when Neil has space from Dell and sets off on his own, he is able to reflect back on his journey and see the good and sympathetic in Dell. This empathy was always present in Neil, but not during the trip with Dell. Neil, after having this space, seeks out Dell again to invite him to Thanksgiving as Dell has nowhere else to go. Neil didn't really change. Dell didn't really change. But there is enough goodwill and love by the end of their journey that they are able to come together as one. The reason you see this sort of Thanksgiving story in TV shows and not movies is because characters on long-running shows, like Friends, aren't really allowed to change. If you change a character too much in a long-running TV show, you either have to forget that change by the next episode, or you have to write them off because their story is complete, their flaw is done. If Ross, the largest of the friends who could simply eat the rest of them, wasn't a gigantic asshole anymore, he would just sort of be plain and vanilla. He might just be, he would just be a normal person. And you don't really watch TV shows about normal people. They have to have these big flaws that are very, very obvious for you to get any sort of drama out of them. But that doesn't stop some films from trying to make the point of the film people coming together despite flaws, and not one person has to change in order for the resolution to happen. I suggest that the recent Addams Family movie, the CGI one that they're actually making a sequel to, is the perfect Thanksgiving movie. Not only is this one of my favourite fully CGI movies ever, I love the Addams Family and they're so well represented here and it's so funny, but it's also the perfect story of two vastly different communities coming together despite their differences. The Addams Family, a creepy and kooky, mysterious and spooky, just all around ooky kind of family, live on the fringes of a hyper-normal suburban hell called assimilation. Although feared and treated with hostility throughout their lives in the plot of the film, the Addamses always take pride in their strange otherness and are never openly hostile to the normal people. They just want to live in peace. That sentiment is returned by the town of assimilation by the end of the film, and while assimilation never makes any attempt to be more Addams, and the Addams never make any attempt to be more normal, they live in peace and come together as a community. So whenever you see a Christmas movie, or a summer blockbuster, or any kind of movie really, where the central theme is people coming together despite their differences, I would suggest that that is a perfect Thanksgiving movie. Someone changing or forgiving a key flaw in themselves in order to be a better person, that's a Christmas movie. Someone storming Nakatomi Plaza around Christmas, that's just Die Hard. Anyway, I want to give a thank you to the researcher who helped me with Planes, Trains and Automobiles. DarkExcalibur is the username. I don't know if they want me to say their real name, so thank you. You were a great help with looking through a bunch of movies that was like, is this a Thanksgiving movie? Does it take place around Thanksgiving? Does it sell itself as a Thanksgiving movie? And just like sending it your way. It can't have been any fun, especially because it made you watch a load and then only picked Planes, Trains and Automobiles. So sorry, and thank you. Maybe, depending on reaction, I'm gonna do more positive outlook videos, because that was kind of easy, and I want to bring positivity into film analysis. Everything is so critical and so just so dumb. People are just angry about everything, and I think it's easy. I think you can be entertaining while being positive.